The nerves are on today, ladies and gentlemen. No, we are not going to be drafting the $3 drafts on Underdog. No, we're not going to get in a $5 draft. We are going to skip by those, and we are going to be hopping into a $1,000 fantasy football draft. Let's go ahead. Let's get into this lobby. Now, there are 9 spots available. So this is the gauntlet. We're throwing it down. If we have anybody out here in this live chat, and I know there are plenty of you that have accurately called me out for being an idiot, that have accurately called me out for not knowing what I'm talking about, and want to come take my $1,000. Well, here's your open invitation, ladies and gentlemen. I am sitting in the $1,000 draft lobby in the Mastiff tournament. There are 9 spots open in this draft. But as we wait for this to fill, because I'm assuming it's not going to fill immediately, we'll have our challengers coming in here in just 1 second. We are going to get a warm-up draft going on, ladies and gentlemen, just in case any of those said haters can't challenge us in the $1,000 draft. We'll be firing up the $25 Best Ball Mania draft on Underdog. This is the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first, $1 million for second. Y'all know the deal. Let's go ahead and let's get into this bad boy, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for everybody coming to hang out with us in this live stream. Really, really do appreciate y'all. And as always, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're watching this as a video later on. We are live streaming fantasy football drafts every single day. I haven't missed a day of streaming since April. Will not miss a single day of live streaming until 2024. Let's get this going. We're at pick 11, which is a little weird, right? I'm used to pick 1. I'm used to pick 1, but I guess BP in the chat steals 1 from us today. Dawson out here as well at 7. You love to see it. You love to see it. And let me know if you're in. Cam in here at pick 11. We got ER7. I'm sorry, Jared in here at pick 4. Jake wanted us to go Garrett Wilson, then Nick Chubb in this draft. Probably not doing that, my friend. I'm going to be honest with you. Probably not going Garrett Wilson, Nick Chubb, but we'll see what we do. Just in case if you're just coming in, this is not the $1,000 draft yet. We're going to do that after this one. Instead, this is the $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool on Underdog Best Ball Mania. Some crazy regular season prizes as well, not just those tournaments, but yeah, looks like pick 1 on the clock underway. So let's switch this back over. And of course, if you want to get into one of these drafts with us, or if you want to go check out any of those player props that you see on the live stream essentially every single day, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. My favorite player prop on Underdog right now is Jamar Chase, plus 25 receiving yards in comparison to Devontae Adams. And my number 1 favorite thing about Underdog is obviously the fantasy football drafts, which we're doing every single day. And of course, these are best ball. So no time commitment at all during the year. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 last season. You can sign up with promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And it's available in damn near every state. You can see the map here on where Underdog is available in. But let's go ahead. CMC off the board to pick 5. Stephon Diggs goes at 6. I know who I want at 11. I don't know if we're going to get him. We'll see together. Okay, CeeDee Lamb off. A.J. Brown goes at 9. So I'm assuming we're getting our guy here. I'm assuming that we're going to get Bijan Robinson. Bloodstone on the clock. You have to... I thought that they were going to go Eckler. Now that they pass on Eckler, we're going to try to create a little bit of a unique build here by going Austin Eckler at pick 11. And then we'll see what else we get at pick 14. Our plan was to go Bijan Robinson. He goes immediately after. Sadly, we're not able to grab our best friend. But if we were trying to get greedy here, I thought there was a chance that we had Austin Eckler and Bijan Robinson in this draft. There's no way that we were going to be able to pass on Eckler and get him in the second round. And since we go with the old guys, we'll just continue to go in that direction. We'll take Devontae Adams here after Austin Eckler. But yeah, we'll go Eckler, Adams, out the gate. Have not drafted a lot of Austin Eckler this year, if I'm going to be honest with you, just because I do think you have to be concerned about his age. I mean, this is a player that was in that 2017 draft class, but not as young as CMC, not as young as Joe Mixon. He didn't declare out of college after just 3 seasons. So he's a little bit on the older side. I also think that with the healthy Mike Williams / Keenan Allen, you do see the involvement as a pass catcher go down ever so slightly, plus with the addition of Quentin Johnston as well. But dear God, yeah, we got Calvin Ridley here in the early second round. Calvin Ridley off the board there at pick 15. So super interesting that team next to us maybe is going to, oh my gosh, maybe you're going to throw this draft board off, right? They took Amon-Ra St. Brown over Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson. Here they're taking Calvin Ridley over guys like Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. That's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Team 10 throwing ADP into the win. Okay, now Devonta Smith goes 22. T. Higgins off 23. So you can assume that Jamar Chase T. Higgins team is going to be looking at Joe Burrow at the 4-5 turn. I think once you start Chase and Higgins, you're probably not going to be taking an elite level quarterback, whether that's Mahomes or Jalen Hurts at pick 26. Mark Ward says, thoughts on Latavius Murray with the Nyheim Hines injury. I think the Nyheim Hines injury more so puts the emphasis on James Cook and not Latavius Murray, my friend. I think it's going to be James Cook. Freddie, this is not the $1,000 draft yet. This is going to be a $25 warm-up draft. We're going to get into the $1,000 draft after this. There are a bunch of spots open in our $1,000 draft. If anybody wants to join, it is the $1,000 draft on Underdog. So skip by the $15, $25, $3 tournaments, $5 tournament. We are currently sitting in the Mastiff lobby with about, I want to say, 8 spots available in our draft room. If you want to draft with us, that is where we are, my friend. Okay. Let's move this back over. Ramondre Stevenson falling a considerable amount. Jalen Hurts made it to pick 27 here. That team that went Chase Higgins through the first 2 rounds decides to grab DK Metcalf at the beginning of the 3rd. Yes, Underdog had like the free MLB pick'em today. I did take advantage, my friend. Mine was a boosted one, but okay. Now, Josh Allen off the board, 29. Breece Hall goes 30. Josh Jacobs, 31. I would have been ecstatic about having Josh Jacobs make it to us at 35. Really interested to see what this team here does right next to us. That's with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley through the first 2 rounds. Jahmyr Gibbs goes 32. That's actually Matthew in the live chat taking Gibbs. Andrews off 33. See what this team does. They go Najee Harris. So for that reason, we're going to grab Amari Cooper here at the end of the 3rd round. I think if you're looking at Amari and his projected target share that you have with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, pretty safe spot to be taking Amari Cooper in general. I mean, I definitely prefer Amari over any other wide receiver in this range. It's more so, would you rather have Amari Cooper or like a running back like Travis Etienne? Okay. And Christian Watson goes. So hell yes, we're going to get Lamar Jackson round 4. This is the main thing that we were hoping for. I just thought there was a better shot that we were going to get Amari Cooper, Lamar Jackson if we took Amari Cooper first and Lamar Jackson second. Ended up working out just that way. So now we have Eckler, running back, wide receiver, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Lamar Jackson at QB. So I'm pretty damn excited about this, to be honest. Pretty excited about this. The Bird Alert says, are you doing another $25 draft after this? Yeah, so we're going to just do $25 drafts, most likely until the $1,000 draft fills. So we're still waiting for people to join that $1,000 draft room with us, but we're going to be doing $25 drafts until then. Alex says, where's the sparkling water? Oh, thank you for reminding me, my friend. I actually have not had too many of these today, so we're going to get the off-brand sparkling water going, ladies and gentlemen, from my local grocery store, H-E-B. This is not flavored, so it's not as exciting, but still. Got to get that carbonation going. Okay. Bailey says, big money day. Let's go. Yes. Okay, we have done one of the $1,000 drafts before, and in that draft, it was freaking nuts. We went CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard through the first 3 rounds. It's the weirdest draft ever. Weirdest draft ever. Okay. Now, DJ Moore going off the board there, pick 44. Terry McLaurin goes 45. Okay. Noah says, would love to do a $1,000 draft. Also, I'm not trying to be single at the moment either. Well, completely understandable, my friend. I'd say probably good business decision there. Good business decision. All right. So let's see. We have Joe Mixon going off the board at pick 46. I think this is where you see that team at pick 2. They take Joe Burrow at pick 50. If they don't go Burrow there, it will be a little bit surprising. Tony says, I was going to take Amari over Allen. I'm at 5. Yeah, no, I feel like you have to take Josh Allen, right? Like, I'm taking Josh Allen there, definitely. Like I said at the beginning of the offseason, these quarterbacks were severely overrated when they were going at the 1-2 turn. But now that you're getting Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, as well as Josh Allen in round 3, I think it's a completely fair price point in this format. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to continue to draft those guys where I can. Okay. Okay, Burrow goes. Brandon Ayuk off the board at 51. So next quarterback on watch is going to be Justin Fields. The DJ Moore team, which is actually Tony out here in the live chat at pick 5, took Josh Allen. So interesting spot on if they would or would not take Justin Fields. I don't know what the right answer on what to do there is, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Justin Fields goes off the board at 52. But Brian coming out with the donation, thank you, says, Ridley and Pickens for George Kittle. We have Dalton Schultz right now in a full PPR format. If it's a shallow redraft league, honestly, I'd probably just keep Calvin Ridley for the overall upside. I mean, obviously, you shouldn't just take these underdog drafts and these underdog rankings one for one and what you should have in your own fantasy football league. But to be fair, Calvin Ridley is an ADP in the middle of round 3 right now in these underdog drafts. Here he goes at the beginning of the second round. You have a George Kittle going in the 6th. So I don't necessarily think that you should take that one for one, like I said, and value those players exactly like that. But I don't know if we need to be adding Duke Calvin Ridley right now to get George Kittle. Okay. So Aaron Jones off the board there at pick 54. Let's swing this back around to see what we are going to have access to. I don't want to say too much, right? I know that we have some people watching the live stream that are drafting next to us, so we are going to be a little bit quiet here as we get ready for a pick at 59. What I was kind of hoping for is I was kind of hoping for the ability to possibly take like Justin Herbert there, 59, pair him up with Austin Eckler and have a little bit of a unique combo. In best ball, obviously, it makes a little bit of sense having that unique combo and multiple elite level quarterbacks taking like Herbert and Lamar, but no interest in doing so now. So Bloodstone on the clock. This is the team that really doesn't care about ADP and is willing to just go get their guy. They go Lawrence there at 58. So we're going to go ahead. We'll take Godwin. I mean, in general, I do prefer Godwin in this range, but I think once you saw Hawkinson go off the board there at 56, definitely was a teardrop. Like, I'm not too excited to see Chris Godwin here, but I would have been pretty damn excited about having TJ Hawkinson make it to us at 59. Okay. So you have Alexander Madison off the board at 60. Okay. George Kittle goes. Honestly, Kittle is who we are looking at here. Oh my gosh. I may make a little bit of a weird selection. I think we're going to go ahead and take Miles Sanders. Reason being is I don't like taking Hollywood Brown in Best Ball Mania when there have been a lot of these teams drafted back in April, back in May. And at that point, you actually had before DeAndre Hopkins getting cut, Hollywood Brown going back in like round 7 of these drafts. So even if Hollywood Brown were to have a great season, I don't want to be going up against a lot of 7th round Hollywood Brown teams. I think maybe we'll get a little bit outkicked there. Whereas if you're looking at Miles Sanders, back when these drafts first opened, you actually had Miles Sanders going at the 4-5 turn in comparison. So you are getting a significant discount based off the timing that we are drafting here with Miles Sanders. And if we're looking at Dobbins, I talked about this in the live stream the other day. I'm not worried that Melvin Gordon's going to come over and have some massive role in Baltimore. Not worried that Melvin Gordon's going to steal the starting job by any means. But what I am worried is the addition of Melvin Gordon and what it may say about the availability of J.K. Dobbins. Like, if Dobbins is 100% healthy, if Dobbins is 100% good to go, do you see J.K. Dobbins getting Melvin Gordon added to his backfield? I don't necessarily know the right answer to that. So I think we can just use it more so as a tiebreaker here and go Miles Sanders. Because what I have been seeing in these drafts is I have been seeing J.K. Dobbins slide down the board a decent amount. And the pound says depth add. I 100% agree. I think that the addition of Melvin Gordon is the Baltimore Ravens adding depth. I don't think it's Melvin Gordon taking the starting job from J.K. Dobbins. But the real question is do they have a reason to feel like they need to add in their depth? That's my question. Okay, so Damian Pierce off the board there at pick 69. And of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. This is going to be a very, very long live stream here. We are going to do the $25 Best Ball Mania drafts until we have enough people join the $1,000 massive draft with us, where there are still 9 spots open. So make sure you drop a like. And of course, we're not doing high stakes drafts like this every day. I mean, this is a very rare thing. And the majority of these, we're doing like the $5 drafts, the $3 drafts on Underdog every single day. And if you are a new member to Underdog Fantasy, I highly recommend you sticking to the $3, you sticking to the $5 drafts. I've drafted over 1,000 teams on Underdog over the past few years, so I have a better idea of what's going on. We won multiple high stakes tournaments last year. That's why I feel comfortable getting into the $1,000 drafts. But like I said, I recommend if you are new, do not do that. Instead, please stick to the cheaper drafts, the $3, the $5. Make sure you get your practice in. And of course, if you want to get into those drafts with us, whether that's in the public lobby, whether that's with us on the live stream, you can find that link to Underdog in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And like I said, this is also the same spot where they have all the player props that y'all see on the videos. Like right now, my favorite player prop is Jamar Chase plus 25 receiving yards versus Devontae Adams. Okay. So let's move this down. We have Jordan Addison, George Pickens going off the board there, 73, 74. I definitely would have been excited about having George Pickens making it back to us at 83. Okay, Dobbins makes it all the way down to 72 in this draft. So honestly, I feel like we're a little bit justified in passing on J.K. Dobbins there at pick 62 if we saw 10 other people decide to do the same exact thing. Steel City Blue says Team 1's fire. Yeah, Team 1's pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. Wide receiver, they're sitting with Jefferson, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Jordan Addison. Running back, they're sitting with Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, and they have Mahomes holding it down at QB. Okay. Now, Kadarius Toney goes 77. Y'all know Tony's not someone that I am personally looking at. Okay. So I don't want to say too much until we're on the clock, but I have a couple different thoughts of what we can be doing here. Pick 83/86. Tommy Knows coming out says, I've decided that I can't do any more high stakes with you. I'm telling you right now, my man, I'm not that guy. I was talking about this in the live stream yesterday. To win like multiple tournaments, how we did last year, we got so damn lucky. My baseline expectation this next season is I most likely lose money. Like that's what I expect. We profited like 140, 135,000 last year. Like we 10x our money. There's no way in hell that we do that again. So I'm actually expecting a down year from us. Hopefully I'm doing everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen, but I don't know. I'm expecting that my results this year come crashing down and that I probably end up losing money, to be honest. But we'll go ahead. We will take Quentin Johnston here. We already made the bet on the Los Angeles Chargers offense with Austin Eckler. We are getting a little bit of a discount here with Quentin Johnston as well. Hopefully a little bit more of a unique combo. But we'll see what we get on the way back around. Clearly, you have Treylon Burks as like the falling knife in fantasy football drafts with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. So right now, it looks like Burks may be a strong value at the 7-8 turn. In reality, we don't necessarily know how that's going to look by the time we get to August. Maybe it's baseline that he's going in the late 8th round instead. So we have Rashad White, Tua off the board. So the primary question is, do we take Deshaun Watson to pair with Amari Cooper, or do we take the falling knife? Do we take the value with Treylon Burks? Generally, plan A is always to go Deshaun Watson with Amari Cooper here. But if we think about the overall context of this tournament on Underdog, where the majority of these teams were drafted before the addition of DeAndre Hopkins signing with the Tennessee Titans, a lot of those teams were taking Treylon Burks back in the 6th round. So getting him in the 8th round, we are going to get a little bit more of a unique build in comparison to the rest of the field. And there are going to be a lot of other teams that have taken Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper. I think how we kind of use this as a tiebreaker is if we would not have taken Lamar Jackson there at pick 38 and instead say we would have taken a guy like Christian Watson, then in that context, I think that we're actually taking Deshaun Watson instead of Treylon Burks. And I could easily be wrong with this, ladies and gentlemen. I know most people would go Deshaun Watson, and I completely understand why. Or we're going to try something a little bit different, though. But Aldwin coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says, I did an ESPN draft after months of Underdog just to get a feel for my redraft league. I felt disgusting, like cheating on my barber. Disgusting. Well, let me know in the chat, my man. Did you feel like you just crushed? Is that's why I went on Fantasy Pros like a month ago to do a mock draft, and it was just like a regular redraft mock draft. And the ADP was like so different than Underdog. I was just able to get value after value after value. And I felt like it was just the easiest thing ever. Like, let me know. Let me know. Okay. And Brock asking what we did with our boosted Underdog pick'em. So I actually did not even check this in. I didn't tell you all on YouTube just because it was too late by the time I went live. But a few days ago, Underdog always does like free bets and stuff. And they did a boosted bet where if you included like certain pitchers with your pick'em slip, like it was like 10x instead of 4x, whatever the hell it is. I don't remember the details. But yeah, I used all of them. Of course, if Underdog gives me or anybody a free bet, you should probably take advantage. And I actually did well, but my pick'em strategy when it comes to non-football sports. So, right, like if they give us a free whatever MLB line, or there's still any MLB lines up today, or they all use it. So they give us a free NBA line where it's like 2x on just some random person. A Marcus Seaman, I have no idea how you say his name. I always just go lower than every single time. If I have like a free line on Underdog, like a boosted line, I mean, historically, the lower than mark has hit across different pick'em sites, I believe 65% of the time. So I never take a more than. I always just go with lower than on what it is. Aldwin says that ADP made no sense. I walked away with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Lamar, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase. Oh, that's awesome, my man. That's awesome. Okay. Now, Jamison Williams off the board at 99. Swing this back around. Dalvin Cook tweeted something out last night. Dalvin Cook tweeted out a little bit of eyeballs emojis. It was like the little squinty eyeball. I don't know. So take that as you will, ladies and gentlemen. Take that as you will. Okay. So Michael Thomas off the board, pick 100. Tyler Boyd, 101. Hopefully by the time we get to the end of this draft, we have the $1,000 draft lobby filled. Cortland Sutton goes 103. And of course, if y'all are excited to see a $1,000 fantasy football draft, me just lighting $1,000 on fire, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Support the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Rashad Penny off the board, 105. I know who I'm going for. I don't necessarily know if we get him, but we'll see. Bloodstone on the clock. They have 4 running backs. They reached on James Cook, I guess, with the Nyheim Hines news. They go Dak Prescott. We're going to take David Njoku to pair up with Amari Cooper here. I mean, we've already made that bet on the passing offense in Cleveland. So let's just double down on said bet by taking Njoku. Allen Lazard goes 108. Bossmore on the clock again. They don't really care about ADP either. They're willing to just go out and get their guy. Taking it all the way down. Please give us Frymuth. Please give us Frymuth. Hell yes, we're going to get Pat Frymuth here as well. In my mind, I think these tight ends are phenomenal values with where they're currently going. Like, I'm not going to be surprised in the slightest to see both of these tight ends outscoring the wide receivers being drafted next to them in a massive way. Like, how surprised will you be if David Njoku, Pat Frymuth have more points than Allen Lazard, Cortland Sutton, Tyler Boyd, Michael Thomas, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Sky Moore this year? I will not be surprised in the slightest. What is awesome about taking both these tight ends here as well in that underdog best ball format, we are not going to have to take another tight end through the rest of this draft. These are some of my favorite values right now on Underdog, are these tight ends in this range. Hate taking the wide receivers, specifically why we take Treylon Burks there at pick 86, so we don't have to. But yeah. Moss asking if we have a lot of Frymuth. I have a decent amount of Pat Frymuth, but honestly, I feel like I have not nearly enough. Like, at this price point, I would be happy if Pat Frymuth was my second most drafted player this year. Obviously behind Lance. Lance is a better price, but I mean, getting Frymuth right after Allen Lazard and right before Samaje P. Ryan. Beautiful, beautiful. But KTA coming out of the donation, thank you, says, keeper question PPR, Tyreek for a third, Josh Allen for a fourth, Hawkinson for a seventh, and Miles Sanders for a ninth, pick 2. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill as well as Josh Allen. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that in the vast majority of spots, people overrate the importance of the keeper cost associated with the player they are keeping. In reality, the opportunity cost from a 3rd round pick to a 6th round pick is not that large. Of course it's there, but the gap between a player like Tyreek Hill versus TJ Hawkinson is going to be so much wider. So outside of like the very random occurrences where it's either Travis Kelce round 2 or Garrett Wilson round 15, right? I mean, if it's that large of a gap, then of course it matters and you have to be thinking about it a little bit more. But outside of those random, super far out occurrences, you probably just want to be keeping the best player, regardless of what that cost may or may not be. Okay. So now we have Damian Harris off the board, pick 120. Okay. And I've seen a lot of people hyping up Kyle Trask. Do y'all think there's a real shot Kyle Trask is a starter this year? Personally, I don't know. Obviously, I could always be proven wrong. I just naturally assume that it's Baker's job. Cito says no chance. Philip says yes. Adam says no. If Kyle Trask ends up starting over Baker Mayfield, like RIP Bucs fans. I mean, Bucs fans have it bad in the first place, right? I guess they're just rooting for Caleb Williams. But Riley coming out of the donation, thank you so much, says, maybe my favorite, what do you think? Hurts, Purdy, Etienne, Gibson, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, Chase Brown, Jefferson, Smitty, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Sky Moore, Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen, Dallas Goedert, Hayden Hurst. I like it. Not a super big Christian Kirk guy where you took him. But getting Travis Etienne at what I assume was the end of the 4th round at the 412 is phenomenal. The only thing I'd say is it probably would have been a whole lot better if you didn't take the backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And instead, if you would have drafted Trey Lance, my friend. Okay, but yeah, I feel like in my mind, getting David Njoku and Pat Frymuth is just a straight up cheat code. Like, I don't even care what makes it back around to us. Obviously, we see some tight ends here. I'm not drafting those tight ends to be completely transparent. Obviously, it doesn't serve us well to say that on the live stream, but we're just going to be looking quarterback, running back, wide receiver. In terms of the quarterbacks, Goff doesn't make much sense. We don't have any Detroit Lions. Goff's off the board anyway. So we'll go ahead. We'll just pull the trigger on Jacoby Myers here, pick 131. We'll see who makes it back around to us outside of that. Now, in terms of should we take Russell Wilson? Well, we have no Jerry Jeudy. We have no Cortland Sutton. We can't grab Greg Dulcich. So it's pretty much, okay, if we take Russ, we lock ourselves into having to grab either Marvin Mims or Tim Patrick later on. Is that something we want to do? Probably not. So let's instead just take Myers. I mean, we already took Devontae Adams, so we can make that correlated bet that possibly the Las Vegas Raiders passing offense is better than people expect. Okay, Bossmore on the clock. Bigsby goes, so I think we're going to take Jalen Warren. If I'm grabbing Michael Gallup in this range, generally I want it to be on a team where we took CeeDee Lamb. But, oh my gosh. Joey just made a devastating mistake. Joey, I thought I've given enough warnings not to do this. I thought I've told people it's a very bad idea. Got my girl to watch your channel. Had to increase the lady flockers. Okay. My man. Getting your girl to watch Mason Dodd do a fantasy football draft. What thought process is that? Do you want to stay in your relationship? Do you want her to still love you, my man? It's like getting your girl to watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary of him at the gym, right? It's like getting your girl to watch Brad Pitt on the runway. What are we doing here? All right. Yeah, that's what I call romantic suicide. Miss to steal your girl. Like, it's not a good call, my man. I'd start packing your things. I would start looking for apartments on apartments.com. Once she sees what peak masculinity is, aka yours truly drafting a fantasy football team, I don't know how that's going to be. Don't know how it's going to be. Okay. Now, Dalton Schultz off the board at 141. At this point, once we go Njoku, once we go Freiermuth, we're hoping to see tight ends get drafted. Like, that's the main thing that we are going to be looking for here. Okay. Yeah. Tanner says, Joey finna get kicked to the waiver wire. Yeah, Joey, my man. You're hey, lucky enough for you. I'm sure you'll get picked up off the waiver wire soon, but you didn't want to have to go to the waiver wire in the first place. Okay. Now, Nate says, progress on the Mastiff, Mason. Looks like not too many people are joining. So just in case y'all know, we are waiting to fire up the $1,000 fantasy football draft. I am currently sitting in the lobby of the Mastiff on Underdog Fantasy. So if you want to get into a $1,000 fantasy football draft with me, if you have accurately found out that I'm an idiot and I have no idea what I'm talking about and you want to come take my $1,000, well, here's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the Mastiff. We still have a ton of spots open. So we're going to be doing the lower stakes drafts on Underdog until that fills, but hopefully it fills soon. Hopefully it fills soon, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let's swing this back around. Now, we do have to be thinking of quarterbacks that we could potentially go with. Don't hate the idea of going 3 QBs, right? Like, we could even go Baker Mayfield's round 17 to pair up with Godwin, and then say Jimmy Garoppolo round 18 with Devontae Adams, as well as Jacoby Myers. I mean, obviously, we're not excited to do that, but I mean, at the end of the day, if you're waiting until round 17, round 18, you are getting exposure to some quarterbacks that aren't being drafted in every single draft. The opportunity cost in comparison to the running backs and wide receivers that will be in that range will be slim to none. So it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst idea in the world. Okay. Teek says, what's the most live viewers you've ever had? I just checked. We have 1,300 people out here. Dear God, if somehow you have not dropped a like on this live stream yet, make sure you drop a like. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. There's nobody else that live streams literally every single day like we do. I've not missed a single day of live streaming since April and won't miss a single day until 2014. So yeah, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We may break our all-time record for live viewers. Dear God. I believe the most views we've ever had on a live stream was... It happened like once. It was just like right after the first game of last season. So everybody was super pumped, of course. But I believe it was right after the Bills-Rams game. I think we had like 2,400 people or something. I don't know. Now we go DJ Chark. The reason we go Chark is this team right between us already has 5 running backs, so you assume that they're most likely not going RB when they have Bijan Robinson, Alexander Madison, Rachaad White, Devon Achane, as well as Tank Bigsby. So we assume that they wanted to go wide receiver, which they did. They take Shaheed. They also go with the tight end there. So we're going to get Devin Singletary on the way back around as our running back 4. What I like about Jaylen Warren as well as Devin Singletary here is we know that they are the running back 2s on their depth chart. If you're looking at a lot of the other running backs that you're going to see at this point of the draft, I mean, you are looking at guys where you don't really know what the depth chart is. I mean, you know who the starter is, but I mean, there are 2 to 3 other guys that could emerge as the number 2 option. Here, I'm pretty damn confident Jaylen Warren is the backup in Pittsburgh. Pretty damn confident that Devin Singletary is the backup in Houston. I think both these guys should randomly see touches through the course of the season and possibly can randomly jump into our starting lineup. So yeah, I think grabbing them as running back 3 or running back 4 option isn't the worst idea in the world. Obviously, it's not like something we are jumping up and down with joy for, but we're still pretty excited about it. Okay. But let's move this over. And yeah, one other reason I really like taking DJ Chark here is, one, I think Chark's a pretty damn good value. Like, what's funny is if you go ahead and if you look at the player props that you have right now on Underdog with these wide receivers that go in this range, you have DJ Chark currently sitting at 700 receiving yards. And if you're comparing this to some other guys, Underdog only has Elijah Moore at 515. They have Alec Pierce at 550. They have Romeo Doubs at 575. They have Zay Flowers at 599. I mean, they have Quentin Johnston at 599. They have Bateman at 600. So they have all these other wide receivers projected significantly worse than Chark. I think Chark can give you some random spike weeks. We already bet on the Carolina Panthers offense by deciding to go ahead and take Miles Sanders where we did previously. So I don't know. I like the idea of that. We could always go ahead and take Bryce Young a little later on. Tommy No says, I can vouch for the romantic suicide. Shouldn't share this, but I clipped the massive stream where I took Christian Watson 26, sent it to a girl I like. Needless to say, I've been ghosted ever since. Is that the girl that DM'd me, my man? I got a DM the other day, said, hey, Tommy No sent me a clip of you on the live stream, and I've never seen anything more manly and more impressive than you drafting a fantasy football team. That is... Yeah, I am super, super sorry to hear that, my friend. But it happens to the best of us, and that's why I put out the fair warning, all right? It's like me drafting a fantasy football team is like a shark swimming in the ocean, right? It's what I was born to do. Come on. And Joey says, at least I got more time for the streams. Good point, my friend. Good point. All right, let's move this down. And Mark says 200,000 subs and Mason does another 24-hour live stream. Yes, if we hit 200,000 subscribers, I will fire up another 24-hour stream. I set that as the goal because I thought there was a 0% chance that we would ever get there. But now that we started posting YouTube shorts, it looks like There's actually a realistic chance that we do. And I'm also only doing the 24-hour live stream if it's before the season, okay? I can't do a 24-hour live stream during the season. I need to have some fun. I need to be able to do underdog drafts. We did a 24-hour live stream last year, but it was sitting down doing underdog drafts essentially, for 24 hours. That's exactly what it was. And I have enough fun in these underdog drafts where I can do it for 24 hours. There's no way in hell I could do anything else for 24 hours. Okay. John asking, can you still do drafts once the season starts on Underdog? Yeah, every single week, Underdog has draft tournaments. Every single week. I don't have as much fun with those tournaments as I do with the tournaments leading up to the season, because during the year, obviously, we have so much other stuff to look at the same time. Okay. Now, Donovan Peoples-Jones goes 172. Raheem Mostert off the board at 173. And it looks like the $1,000 draft is not filled yet, so we are going to have to fire up another $25 draft after this one. But let's see. If Kenny Pickett were to make it to us, we could convince ourselves to go Pickett. We did take Pat Frymuth. We also have Jalen Warren, who obviously can be involved as a pass catcher as well. So I don't think it would be the worst idea in the world to just go ahead and pull the trigger on Kenny Pickett at pick 179 if he makes it there. Well, like I said, another plan that we could have is we could go Bryce Young later on. Hell, we could go ahead and we could grab Baker Mayfield later on, Jimmy Garoppolo later on. There's so many different options. Okay. So Chuba Hubbard goes 177. This team only has 4 wide receivers. Yeah, this team just doesn't know what they're doing. They only have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Jaden Reed, and Isaiah Hodgins at wide receiver. They're kind of going to be forced to take a receiver here. The team after us has Tua as well as Russell Wilson. So they can take a third quarterback if they really wanted to. For that reason, we'll just take Kenny Pickett now, and we won't roll the dice on the possibility of getting him on the way back around at 182. And then we'll probably take a third quarterback as well. I don't know if we're going to take that guy here, 182. If we were going to take a third quarterback, we were going to be taking Bryce Young at 182. So now clearly we have to pivot away from that. So I think you can make an argument for a couple different players in this range. We are going to be looking at running back, wide receiver. So we have 3 more rounds in this draft. We need 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 quarterback. Running back Gus Edwards is someone that I'm not looking at with the addition of Melvin Gordon. Leonard Fournette could be in play. Let's look at the running backs we'll have access to later on. It's like, do we want to take Leonard Fournette now? Do we want to grab... I'm going to take Leonard Fournette now. Out of everybody on the board right now, I don't really see a player with a higher ceiling than Leonard Fournette if he finds the right landing spot. It's a $25 buy-in, $3 million for first place. So I'm just trying to swing for the highest ceiling possible, right? That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. But yeah, so now we have at running back, Eckler, Miles Sanders, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary, Leonard Fournette. Wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Quentin Johnston, Treylon Burks, Jacoby Myers, DJ Chark. Tight end, we have Njoku, Pat Frymuth. Quarterback, we have Lamar unstacked, which I'm fine with given the rushing upside. We have Kenny Pickett stacked up with Pat Frymuth. And the offenses that we're betting on in general are the Los Angeles Chargers with Austin Eckler, Quentin Johnston, are the Las Vegas Raiders with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, are the Cleveland Browns with Amari Cooper and David Njoku. Probably the Bucks with most likely like Godwin and Baker Mayfield. We'll see. The Panthers, we have Miles Sanders as well as DJ Chark. Maybe we grab Tannehill to pair up with Berg. So we have plenty of correlation in this lineup. But Finn says, lukewarm take, DeAndre Swift is the league winner this year. His ADP is criminally low. So I actually just made a video talking about the best offensive lines in the NFL. And it doesn't matter what resource you look at. They essentially all have the Philadelphia Eagles as the best offensive line in the NFL. So I don't love the fit with Jalen Hurts, but there will be a lot of points scored in that offense. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to fire up another underdog draft. And just to remind y'all, I am currently in the lobby of the $1,000 Mastiff draft, and we are going to be getting that draft going once it is filled. So if you want to draft against me, this is your chance. I know there are a lot of haters. that accurately know that I'm an idiot and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And if you have realized that by now, you probably should realize you want to get into a $1,000 draft against me. But as we wait for that to fill, we're going to be hopping into Best Ball Mania. I honestly wouldn't recommend new people on Underdog immediately getting into Best Ball Mania. I would say if you are new to Underdog, I would probably, instead of getting in that $25 buy-in, do a couple of the $5 slow puppy drafts. That way you can at least test it out. These are slower drafts as well. That way you can sit there and think and actually really dive into everything. So this is what I'd recommend for new people on Underdog is the slow puppy. And this is what we are going to be getting into. We are going to be getting into Best Ball Mania, ladies and gentlemen. But let's move this down. And I'm assuming we get the 101. All right, here's how you manifest it. We're at pick 1, ladies and gentlemen. Make it happen. Now, never mind, we're at 9. Flock's Kryptonite in here at pick 1. That is why we are not at pick 1, ladies and gentlemen. Flock's Kryptonite stole the spot from us. If he was not in this draft, we would have been at 1 because I was working on manifesting it. But to be fair, come on. He's my Kryptonite. What do you expect from me? What do you expect from me? Okay. So Ray in here at pick 4. Kevin in here at 3. Adam in here at 6. Happy to see y'all. Happy to see you. You got Preston in here at pick 7. And please let me know, who is Flock's Kryptonite? In the live chat, expose yourself. We know Adam's in here at 6. But if you're Flock's Kryptonite in here at 1, let me know who you are on YouTube. Please let me know. And of course, if you want to get into one of these drafts with us, if you want to go check out any of those pick'em lines that you see in the live streams, what I'd recommend is Jamar Chase plus 25 receiving yards versus Devontae Adams. You can find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Available in damn near every state. You can see all the states here. Just a ton of fun. It's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. That's why it's the perfect place to get in an extra fantasy football draft. You're not going to be replacing the main league that you play on, right? I mean, the main league that you play with, you're going to keep the same. Okay. But we have Kelsey going off the board at 5. Kupp goes pick 6. So very rarely do you see Cooper Kupp fall this far. We're on the clock in that other draft. I kind of wanted... No, Jimmy Garoppolo is just going to be such a unique pick. Lance is already off the board. I'm actually taking another running back. We're actually going to go CEH there. But let's see. Duke says, I'm channeling my energy so you get a good $1,000. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. A.J. Brown off the board. So y'all know in the last draft, we took Austin Eckler to have a little bit of a unique build. Getting Eckler at 9 won't be a unique build. So instead, I'm going to opt to take our best friend, Bijan Robinson. I'm going to FaceTime him right after this, telling him that I do not have his phone number. That is a joke. Obviously, he's not my best friend. A guy interviewed at the NFL draft that I also got the opportunity to see at the gym a couple weeks back. So, hell, I'm a former Texas Longhorn. I've ran into the guy, met him multiple times in real life. Super nice dude. Really want to root for him. Fantasy football is meant to be fun. I want to take guys that I want to root for. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Bijan Robinson here at pick 9. But that is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking Bijan over Eckler here, and why we took Eckler in the last draft, because getting Eckler at pick 11 in the last draft did give us a little bit of more of a unique combo in comparison to where we could have gotten him here. Sports Spotlight says, how do you manage your free agency and your fantasy teams? So all these Underdog drafts are best ball, so that means that there are going to be no weekly waiver wire moves. And on top of that, you are going to be not submitting your starting lineup. Your best starting lineup is going to automatically be submitted for you at the end of every single week. So say I draft DJ Chark, and Chark randomly scores 30 points in a game. then Chark is actually going to slide into our starting lineup. And we didn't have to predict it. And that's why it's not going to replace the main fantasy football league that you care about, the main one that you play in. That's why it's going to be just extra fun on the side, right? Like, you're not replacing your main fantasy football league with Underdog Fantasy, but you're having some fun on the side. And during the season, you're still going to have time to care about the league that pay attention to the league you care most about. Okay. But we are going to take Davante Adams here at 16. I understand I'm an idiot. I understand I'm continuously taking Davante Adams, and he does have red flags. He has the age. He has the quarterback play, and I'm the first person to acknowledge that. But at the same time, with Davante Adams, if you look over the past 3 seasons, he has been the best option in fantasy football drafts for the past 3 years on average. It doesn't matter if you look at his target share. It doesn't matter if you look at his yards per route run. The man is elite across the board. I mean, hell, he's averaged the wide receiver 3 finish over the past 3 years, and we're getting him here about the wide receiver 12. So I understand there are red flags, but at the same time, I think that those red flags are baked into his price. Not to mention, if you look at the player props on Underdog right now for these projections, they literally have Davante Adams projected for more receiving yards than Jamar Chase. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No. That's why I would rather have the Jamar Chase plus 25 receiving yards mark. But nonetheless, to see that kind of projection be there in the first place does make me a little bit more confident to continue to draft Davante Adams where we are. But let's move this over. Patrick Mahomes off the board at pick 24. You have Andrews going 25, which is going to be a little bit of a unique build. And we are going to get our second sparkling water underway, ladies and gentlemen. Our second sparkling water is currently underway to fuel us to $3 million in this draft. Yes, and everybody's just coming in. This is the $25 draft. We are sitting in the $1,000 draft lobby on Underdog. If anybody wants to come draft against us, if anybody wants to go, Mason, you're an idiot, who would ever draft Davante Adams in the second round? Well, I will in that $1,000 draft. Do you want to come up against me? And I can maybe waste my $1,000 and you could take it. See. Okay. Let's move this over. Preston says, dumb question. How do you know if it's best ball? All Underdog drafts are best ball, my friend. All Underdog drafts are best ball. Adam says, watch this pig at 30, Mason. All right, let's see what Adam's doing here at pick 30. Let's see what he's doing at 30. I'm assuming he wasn't going Metcalf. Metcalf would have been standard. All right, he's really milking this. Goes Christian Watson. He takes the Tommy Nose playbook. Tommy Nose in the $1,000 draft we did a couple weeks back when Christian Watson, I believe it picked 26. Could have been wrong. Ramondre Stevenson off the board. Swing this back around. Josh Allen goes. I would have been extremely excited to get Josh Allen. I think we may take Josh Jacobs here for a little bit of a unique pick, given the fact that we've already made the bet on the Raiders offense maybe being better than some people expect. So let's, I guess, double down on that bet with Josh Jacobs. There are a lot of other teams in these Underdog drafts, in Best Ball Mania in particular, that were able to get Breece Hall at this price point earlier this offseason. You really had nobody able to get Josh Jacobs here, so it's going to be a little bit more of a unique build. And y'all know Jacobs was my most drafted player last year. Jacobs won us a lot of money last season. So let's take the guys we're going to root for. Let's do it. Okay. Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel off the board as well. Let's swing this back around. It's crazy to see Allen fall that far, right? I mean, the Stephon Diggs team took Ramondre Stevenson instead of Josh Allen, which is really interesting. Lamar Jackson goes to pick 37. I would have been excited about getting Lamar. Okay. Keenan Allen goes 38. Pocket on the clock goes Justin Fields. Super early for Fields, which is really interesting to see. In a vacuum, I prefer, you know what? F it. Who the hell cares? We can do it. Let's take the guy we want. You know what? Let's do it. In this draft, let's get our guys. In drafts in the past, I've said, well, we've only taken one wide receiver through the first 3 rounds. We essentially are forced to go receiver here in round 4. We're forced to go Jerry Jeudy. I don't want to take Jerry Jeudy over Travis Etienne. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll punt this. I'll take Travis Etienne instead at pick 40. And yeah, let's make this fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make this fun. Okay. Now, Drake London goes 42. Najee Harris off the board, 41. And I'm taking Travis Etienne over Najee Harris for a multitude of different reasons. The primary one being is if you look at the historical data on the trajectory Najee's on, there are very few running backs that have been able to bounce back from the first 2 seasons Najee Harris has seen. Comps we've seen since the year 2000 include Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well as James Robinson. Now, with that being said, Najee Harris has gotten over the Liz Frank, should have significantly better quarterback play this next year. So I'm still fine going ahead and taking Najee Harris at this price point. But with Travis Etienne, we don't have to be worried about that same thing. Travis Etienne was good this past season. He does have an elite level quarterback. So I don't know. We'll do it. We'll do it. Okay. Mantis is asking if the $1,000 draft has a 20-second clock. No, it's a 30-second draft, my friend. 30-second clock. 30-second clock. Okay. Now we have Najee, London, Mixon, Burrow all off the board. Okay. DNB says, F it, who the hell cares, is my top draft strategy. I would say it's going to be the optimal strategy this season. I think that the optimal strategy this year is going to be F it, who the hell cares, with a little bit of it is what it is sprinkled in. But Dobbins going to pick 50 here. In the last draft, we saw J.K. Dobbins falling to pick 72. Very interesting to see Dobbins go at this price point. But hell, this is the same person that took Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper at pick 23, 26. So it does look like they really don't care about ADP. They're willing to go get their guy, which is what I always love to see. I mean, I love drafting with people that are willing to just go get their guy and ignore ADP. It's honestly my favorite thing. Okay, so DJ Moore off the board. Okay. Right now we're sitting with Bijan, Jacobs, Etienne at running back, Devontae Adams at wide receiver. Clearly, at this point, if all else is equal, we want a wide receiver to fall to us, right? Like, if all else is equal, I'd love a wide receiver at pick 57. Okay. NBF says, what's the entry limit for the Mastiff? I literally have no idea. I've only done one Mastiff team that was on the live stream a couple weeks back. Obviously, we're going to be doing this one as well. But I'll see if I can see that on my phone. I don't know how many people are going to max out the $1,000 draft tournament. Max entry is 7. Max entry is 7. Of course, I'm not a great business person. How the hell am I supposed to know? But I don't really understand the thought process. Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to go Kenneth Walker, and this will be our only other running back we draft. So we're going to go with the hyper-fragile build here. We're going to go 4 running backs essentially out the gate to pair with Devontae Adams, and we're not going to draft another running back through the rest of this draft. But my thing is, why would there even be a cap on the amount that you can draft? Like, what's the benefit of making it like a 7 max entry and not just making it a 20 max entry, which would be there are going to be 20 total drafts in that $1,000 tournament. Most Sports says, let's go. Let's do this in the 1K draft. I know this is your optimal, my man. I know you love going with only the 4 running back builds. Something that makes me a little bit more nervous, something that I am not as familiar with, but we're trying it out in this one. We could go Lawrence round 7 if we really wanted to. I mean, we have ETN, but we're preferring not to go ETN. This guy, either going to be a Pittman or an Evans selection here. I assume Aaron Jones ADP 53 is off the board by the time that we're back up. Sanders goes 62. Okay, thank God we're going to get one of these wide receivers. I think we can go back and forth with both these guys. So far, I've drafted significantly more Michael Pittman than I have Mike Evans. So just from a balanced exposure standpoint, let's go ahead and let's take Mike Evans here instead of Michael Pittman. Like I said, I've taken a lot of Pittman. I've taken some Evans. Like, I'm not underweight Mike Evans, but Pittman's pushing my most drafted wide receiver at the price tag, wide receiver 33. I think Evans has a similar range of outcomes at a similar price. So let's go ahead and let's do it. Okay. But yeah, so now running back, we're sitting with Bijan, Jacobs, ETN, Kenneth Walker. Wide receiver, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. So we're sitting with the young guns at RB and sitting with the old heads at wide receiver, per usual. Now you have Pittman, Akers, Lawrence. So Aaron Jones still available. You have to assume Aaron Jones is off the board at any one of these picks. George Pickens goes 6. How far? Oh, no, I'm an idiot. Aaron Jones went at pick 63. I was losing my mind to see George Pickens selected ahead of Aaron Jones. Yeah, but never mind, ladies and gentlemen. I am stupid. Just ignore me. Nolan out here says he's in the $1,000 draft lobby as well, if that incentivizes any of you to join. I'm pretty sure people would be happy to avoid you, my friend, and target me. I think the incentive is you get to come after my soft money. I don't know if they are excited to go after you, my man. I mean, I'd say Nolan's probably much scarier to draft against than I am. Dan Sky, long time member of the flock, coming out with a big time donation. Thank you so much, says, what's up, my dude? Great to see you as always. So do you find yourself tempted to start with the running back build? LOL, we know that's not what we're looking to do, but man, I'm consistently being tempted this year late position. So I'd say in underdog drafts, personally, it's hard for me to start RB if we're going to get someone like Devontae Adams here, just because I know the running back values we can look at later on. Like in this draft, we get Jacobs round 3, ETN round 4, Kenneth Walker round 5. So I'd say in underdog drafts in particular, I'm not too excited to start running back. But if you're playing in like your regular redraft format where you're going to be starting only one quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, in that kind of format, I am 100% down for you going RB out the gate. But happy to see you out here, my man. Happy to see you. Okay, let's move this down. Quentin Johnson off the board, 76. We can't draft running backs, like I've already said. I mean, hell, we're sitting with Bijan, Jacobs, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker. So we're exclusively quarterback, wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft. Okay. Tanner says, if you don't mind me asking, what was your profit in underdog drafts last year? Also, how much did you spend on the... Okay. So I broke all this down in a video in depth at the very end of this last season. Essentially, in underdog drafts, I believe... I keep in mind it was a year ago. All I know is we ended up winning $150,000. But we spent anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 in drafts last season. Won $150,000. And yeah, we break down everything, like the tournaments we won, the place we got. We won the Bulldog tournament. We won the Bulldog 2 tournament. We won the Big Dog tournament. And we got 16th place in Best Ball Mania. So the Bulldog tournament we won on Underdog was a $250 buy-in. and we won that for $100,000. The Bulldog 2 tournament we won was a $500 buy-in. We won that for $20,000. And Best Ball Mania, which is this draft here, the $25 buy-in, we got 16th place for $10,000. But we're going to go Jordan Addison, pick 81. Y'all know I'm not a big Tony guy. I don't like draft Kadarius Toney. I'd way rather grab Jordan Addison here as our wide receiver 3. I would have preferred getting Kyle Pitts, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Dan Sky coming out says, happy to be here, man. Looking forward to draft with you. I'm with you all the way, but can't tell you how many drafts I've started this year with Bijan, Pollard, or Barkley. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for coming out. And I'll say some of my most drafted running backs are Barkley and Jonathan Taylor with where they go in these drafts. So, kind of there with you, my friend. Kind of there with you. Okay. So, Brandon Cooks off the board. Let's swing this back around. Treylon Burks goes 86. I would have been pumped about getting Treylon Burks if he would have made it to us. So, we were just quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, like I said, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Pocket on the clock. Okay. We are going to take Elijah Moore here at pick 88. Not in love with the Elijah Moore price tag, but what I will say is I am desperate for wide receivers. Sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it is that simple. But Matt coming out says, hit a new PR on the bench today. So if y'all don't know, if y'all are new here, which I'm sure we have some new people here if there are 1,300 people in this live stream. But every time a member of the flock has a dub, whether that's in life, in fantasy, whatever it is, we got to go through and we got to celebrate with them. So everybody, please go down to the live chat, say congrats, Matt. Say congratulations. Awesome. Flex on them. Whatever the hell you want to do. Drop some W's in the chat for Matt hitting a PR on bench. But okay. And Josh, I see your question here. I do really like this question. So Josh asking last year, who was the player you drafted the most? That was the biggest bust. So most drafted players last year, my most drafted quarterback was Mahomes. My second most drafted quarterback was Deshaun Watson. Most drafted running back was Josh Jacobs. My second most drafted running back was Kenneth Walker. Most drafted wide receiver was Jalen Waddle. My second most drafted wide receiver was Deontay Johnson. So by far and away, the biggest whiff that we had last season in fantasy football drafts was Deontay Johnson. I thought he would see a bunch of volume. I thought he would put up a lot of points. He saw the volume. He did not see the fantasy points. It is what it is. You live and you learn. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit scarred. Maybe that's why I can't draft Deontay Johnson in round 5 this season. But yeah, Deontay Johnson was my biggest whiff last season. Okay. Let's move this over. Cortland Sutton off the board, 99. Running backs look like they're a great value, especially with the Hines injury for James Cook. But we cannot go with those guys. We're exclusively quarterback, wide receiver, tight end from here on out, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if we're looking at the quarterbacks, Richardson, you could always take, just given the fact that you don't really need to have any stacks with him. You're more so looking at Anthony Richardson based off his rushing upside. Dak Prescott, we could take if we really wanted to go after Michael Gallup later on. I don't necessarily know if we're excited to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. AJ Dillon goes 101. Good for us to see Dillon off the board, of course. Dak Prescott goes 103. Is this the team that took Pittman? Yeah, this is the team that took Pittman. So they're in an interesting spot. They have Taylor and Pittman. So they've already made that bet on Indianapolis. You don't know if they double down or not. Yeah, so they pass. I think just because we're so damn desperate for a wide receiver, we kind of have to go ahead and take Tyler Boyd here. Don't know if I love the Tyler Boyd selection, but it is what it is. Rick says, what's the highest percentage you're willing to take of a player not named Lance? I talk about this a lot. It's just risk management with your overall portfolio of teams. So it kind of depends on how many drafts you're going to be doing, right? Say you're getting on Underdog, and the majority of people on Underdog are just going to deposit $10. They'll have $20 in their account, and they'll opt in like 4 puppy drafts, right? And if you're only getting in 4 drafts, then you can draft 1 running back in all 4 teams. It doesn't matter. You could have 100% Travis Etienne if you love Travis Etienne at his price point. But personally, last year when I drafted 700 teams, this year I'm probably going to be much lower. This year I'm probably going to be closer to like 450, 500. But if I'm drafting, say, like 450, 500 teams, I do have to be a little bit smart about how I'm going about it because it is a considerable amount of money. Like, it is not something we can just light on fire. So what I've done historically is I've capped myself off at 20% of any given player. It saved us a lot 2 years ago when Cam Akers and Travis Etienne went down before the season. It hurt us last year when we capped ourselves on our most drafted guys like Jacobs and Patrick Mahomes at 20%. But it is what it is. And I actually think we're going to take Kirk Cousins here. We have Jordan Addison. I don't necessarily know if these wide receivers such as Odell Beckham Jr., Nico Collins, Juju Smith-Schuster move the needle a ton for us. Cousins is actually the quarterback that helped us get 16th place in Best Ball Mania last year. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's pull the trigger. Okay. We have another big time donation coming out from Gucci Broomstick. Says, hey Mason, I can understand being wary of Aaron Rodgers' age, but how can you truly rank him to be worse this season than he's been his entire career with arguably the best situation he's been in? Okay, a couple different things with this. With Aaron Rodgers, last season was his worst year of his NFL career that we've essentially had with him as a full-time starter. If you look at a multitude of different metrics, including for him with his adjusted yards per pass attempt. Second thing being is I think it's very difficult to say that the New York Jets this year are the best situation that Aaron Rodgers has seen throughout his entire NFL career. I would honestly strongly disagree with that if you just look at how the Jets are run top to bottom in comparison to how the Green Bay Packers have historically been run top to bottom. I'm not anti-Aaron Rodgers by any stretch of the imagination. Let me go ahead and let me pull up my exposure with Aaron Rodgers. I have Rodgers in 8% of drafts. Don't know if you can see that there. So I'm like literally lukewarm. I'm just like the market on Aaron Rodgers. I'm not targeting him. I'm not going out of my way to avoid him. But if I had to come up with an argument against this, I would just say this is not the best situation of his career. But you also have to look at his target percentage and drop percentage being one of the highest last season. I think if you look at drops on a year-to-year basis, they honestly don't make nearly as much of a difference as people assume. Now, naturally, people see a drop on a football field where the wide receiver hits his hands and it falls to the ground, and it seems like the end of the world, right? It seems like that was so important, and because that happened, blah, 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 like it's a horrible, horrible situation. Whereas in reality, it's not that big of a deal. It's just as big of a deal of a wide receiver not getting open in the first place. But it just seems like it stands out more to the common observer because you actually see the wide receiver failing, right? Like it's just as much of a failure if a wide receiver doesn't get open and never draws a target from Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers has to throw it out of bounds versus he throws it to the wide receiver and they drop it. So I don't know, my friend. I'm not talking down on Aaron Rodgers this season. Like I said, I mean, it's not like I'm actively avoiding him. Just trying to point out the reasons why he may not necessarily be in the best situation of his career. Okay. Now, Daniel Jones off the board, 127. I would have been pumped about getting Daniel Jones. Jared Goff goes, we're going to go Jacoby Myers. Alan says, Xavier Worthy had a lot of drops last year. Big year coming. I know I've said this before, and just to let y'all know, I don't have an NFL team that I root for. I am the worst sports fan you would ever meet. I am the most fair weather fan. I'm not going to root for a losing team. I know it is laughable, but the reason I got into sports really in the first place, at least the reason I got into the NFL, is I started playing fantasy football back when I was like 9 years old, before I even started watching NFL games. Like I started watching NFL games after I started playing fantasy football. And I know that's like the weirdest thing ever, but for that reason, I think it like has shaped my brain into being like a horrible, horrible sports fan. And I went to the University of Texas. So you would think that I am a massive Texas Longhorn fan, and I try to be, but every time I get my hopes up, they severely disappoint. They let me down to the furthest extent. And being the horrible sports fan I'm just completely out on them for that reason. So I have a hard time like getting super pumped about a Texas Longhorn, at least when they're still in school. Once Bijan Robinson gets to the NFL, I'm all about him, right? If I can draft him in fantasy, I'm all about him. Let's see what this team decides to do. They go Dalton Kincaid, so we're going to get Darnell Mooney down here as our wide receiver 7. I mean, Darnell Mooney, wide receiver 7, I feel like it's not the worst price in the world, right? I mean, in general, we need wide receivers. We took 4 running backs with the first 5 picks. But overall, it's an interesting team. Like right now at running back, we have Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker. We're not going to draft another running back. Wide receiver, hopefully these guys can hold it down. Hopefully Devontae Adams, Mike Evans crush it this year. We get a breakout from Jordan Addison. And then we have Elijah Moore, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, randomly providing us spike weeks when we need them through the course of the fantasy football playoffs. So, yeah. Excited about this. We'll see. Kurt says, who do you want to start, Ewers or Manning? I want Ewers to start. Manning's pretty young. I don't know. NBF says, I'd say you're probably a big Colts fan this year. Yeah, if y'all don't know, the NFL team that I generally root for is the team where I have drafted the most of their players. So last year when Jacobs was my most drafted player, you better believe I was a Raiders fan. I was hoping the Raiders scored a zillion points. I was hoping Josh Jacobs led the NFL in rushing touchdowns, led the NFL in rushing. He led the NFL in rushing, not rushing touchdowns, but same thing. Like if Trey Lance is the starting quarterback for the 49ers this next season, I will tell you right now, I will be a 49ers fan. I will be going out there. I'll be screaming for Trey Lance. But Dan says, I really want to believe in Darnell Mooney. For the sake of this team, I want to believe in Darnell Mooney, my friend. For the sake of this team, I hope Darnell Mooney is good. Okay. We'll see. Leonard Fournette off the board at 146. Nick asking if we're almost filled in the $1,000 draft. Let me see, my friend. There are 7 spots open in the $1,000 draft. Looks like the $1,000. I'm still going to wait. We'll still see. But looks like the $1,000 draft may be happening tomorrow and not today. We'll see. I promise you all $1,000. I can't live stream for 24 hours waiting for this bad boy to fill. We may end up having to try tomorrow night. We'll see. We'll see if it fills. Okay. Roshan Johnson off 149. I don't know if we're super, super pumped to go wide receiver here. If we were to go quarterback, I don't mind taking, never mind. Kyler's off the board. I was going to say we could take Kyler. Derek Carr doesn't make a lot of sense. We have no Saints. I don't want to be targeting any Saints later on. Jonathan Mingo goes. Sam Laporta goes. We're going to take Cole Kmet. Cito says, can you leave the $1,000 draft to get your money back? Yeah, so any draft on Underdog, you can leave and it just like immediately refunds your account. Obviously, the draft cannot start. You can't like load into a draft on Underdog and then see, oh, I get pick 8. I don't want this pick, and then leave. It doesn't work like that. But like, I'll just show y'all real quick. So say like we're waiting for this $1,000 draft to fill, right? We have 7 spots open. We come in here. I can leave drafts. Left it, and Underdog immediately added the $1,000 back into our account. Then we can go back, join the lobby again, and they take the $1,000 from our account again, put it right back. But yeah. So one thing I like too. So if you join a draft and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, never mind, I can't draft anymore and it hasn't filled, you can just leave. No harm, no foul. But Tommy knows says, what happens if the Mastiff fills up while you're sleeping or something on? So if the Mastiff does not fill by the end of this live stream, I'm leaving. I'm not staying in the Mastiff lobby unless I'm sitting down live streaming ready to go. Like, I'm not going to keep it in there and say, oh, yeah, let me go to sleep tonight. No, I'm not doing that. Okay. Alec Pierce off the board. I know what we want. I don't know if we get it. Yeah, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Irv Smith Jr. here. What I kind of like about these tight end selections, right, is we've taken a bunch of these secondary pieces in this offense, have correlated them together. So if we're looking at what we have with these tight ends, like we have both Cole Kmet as well as Irv Smith Jr. We have also Tyler Boyd and Darnell Mooney. So obviously this can work out a couple different ways. One, if the Chicago Bears passing offense ends up being better than people expect this next season, then possibly, both Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney work out for that reason. Or maybe if DJ Moore gets injured, both these guys work out for that reason. And we can say the same thing about Tyler Boyd, Irv Smith Jr. Maybe if the overall offense is better than people expect, it works out. Or maybe if you have an injury to Jamar Chase or an injury to T. Higgins, both these guys see that expanded value. So I really like going ahead and trying to parlay these guys together. But of course, if you want to get into one of these drafts with us, if Rusty, I'm assuming this is like a 12-year-old kid, wants to hop in, you can't, my friend. It is 18 years old and older on Underdog Fantasy. And find a link to Underdog in the live chat in the description in the comment section. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see all the states here that has Underdog Fantasy. But Hunter Renfrow off the board, 167. Demonic coming out says, favorite last round picks, not Lance, to build a flyer on a stack. I tend to go Cedric Tillman with Watson. I have done that. Jelani Woods with Richardson, or Jimmy G with the Raiders wide receivers. What I've been thinking about doing more so, especially based off what we saw with Geno Smith last season, is I don't hate the idea at all of going ahead and taking those quarterbacks that aren't being drafted very often, that maybe, just maybe, can show you a spike week, right? So if you go ahead and say you grab Jimmy Garoppolo at the very end to pair up with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers like we have here. Or maybe we go ahead and take Baker Mayfield to pair up with Mike Evans, right? Those aren't being guys drafted in every single draft, but at the same time, they could work out. They could be a low ownership player that gives you some upside. So it's something I don't mind at all. It's taking a swing on those like 18th round quarterbacks. Okay. But let's move this over. Let's move this over. So we're going to be back up on the clock. Derek Carr falling a considerable amount here. At one point, it does become a conversation to take Derek Carr and then possibly Juwan Johnson on the way back around. Jordan Love goes 174. So how many rounds do we have left? We have 15, 16, 17, 18. We have 4 rounds. I want another tight end. I need 2 more quarterbacks. And we have probably one wide receiver. pretty much sticking true to only drafting 4 running backs with this team. Okay. Isaiah Hodgins goes 175. Curtis Samuel goes 176. So we're going to roll the dice here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how this works out, but a lot of the teams picking after us already have 2 tight ends, so I don't know if they go with another. We're going to take Derek Carr. He falls, at this point, 27 picks past ADP, and we are going to hope that we get Juwan Johnson on the way back around to pair up with Derek Carr. We'll see. We'll see. Stafford also, about this point, 30 picks past ADP as well. If we would have taken Stafford, there's nobody really else we can be looking at, though. But Stafford goes 180. Can't blame. They essentially do the same thing we do, right? You take the falling guy at QB. They already had Lamar and Geno, but if you're getting Stafford at 180, it's just such a strong value. You can't argue against it. Juwan Johnson goes. Now, F their Matthew Stafford pick was horrible. F your Juwan Johnson pick was horrible. How dare you do that to us? Oh, dear God. Dear God. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Jeff Wilson goes, I think we're going to take Tyquan Thornton here. I like Tyquan Thornton a little bit more than I previously did now that you have no DeAndre Hopkins in New England. I think you should probably be rising up with that news. However, you're actually getting him to fall down a bit. We're getting him as our wide receiver 8 as someone that we just need to give us some random spike weeks. So yeah, let's show this team off where at running back, we're going with a hyper fragile approach. We have Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, as well as Kenneth Walker. Wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Elijah Moore, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Tyquan Thornton. Quarterback, we have Cousins paired up with Jordan Addison. Tight end, we have Cole Kmet as well as Irv Smith Jr. We also have Derek Carr. Derek Carr unstacked. We were looking to get Juwan Johnson on the way back around, but it did not work out. And yeah, the overall bets that we made on individual offenses, we bet on the Raiders offense by taking Adams at 16 and then Jacoby Myers at 129 and Josh Jacobs. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that. Okay, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is definitely a pick with this team. Not a big Jimmy G guy, but at the end of the day, the only way this team's good is if Jimmy Garoppolo exceeds expectations. We bet on the Bears with Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet. We bet on the Bengals with Irv Smith Jr. as well as Tyler Boyd. But yeah, this is a Jimmy Garoppolo team if I've ever seen one. Okay. Let's move this over. Flock's Kryptonite on the clock. Goes Clyde Edwards-Helaire there with one of the selections. Super interesting as the Mahomes Andrews build. Okay. And actually, I'll just let y'all know what we do in these last 2 rounds. Like I said, one of these picks will be Jimmy Garoppolo based off us having every single Raider. We're going to hop in another Best Ball Mania draft. Sadly, the $1,000 Mastiff is not close to filling. I think maybe that will have to be a draft for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize about that. We entered it at the very beginning of the live stream. There's not much else I could have done. Okay, now this is what we're used to. This is more like it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We out here. Pick one like it's meant to be. All right. Finally, Underdog does us right. Finally, they respect my manifestation of pick one for us. So let's get this going. If you are a member of the flock on YouTube, drop the 101 emojis. Y'all have custom emojis with the 101. So please drop them in the chat right now. Drop them in the chat. Okay. And we are going to swing this over. And of course, we will take Justin Jefferson. And Jay Madden says streamer loot. Love to see it. Yeah, 101 hype. Love to see it. Love to see it. And we are going to go ahead in that other draft. We're going to take Gesicki, pair him up with Tyquan Thornton. And then Jimmy Garoppolo with our last pick. And if we don't get Jimmy Garoppolo, we're going to go Lance. Okay, so here, let's take Justin Jefferson off the board at 1. Not too much to discuss on that front. And there are a lot of people with badges in this draft, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of people with badges. Mark says this could be the $3 million draft. Yes, that is true. Could be the $3 million draft. Can you just imagine seeing the $3 million hit your bank account? Like logging in, saying $3 million. Be wild. And then having to pay a boatload of money in taxes. Now, Chase, Cup, CMC, Tyreek Hill, all off the board, 2 through 5. Yeah, Nick out here in this draft with us at pick 3. Going Cooper Kupp over Tyreek Hill. Okay, says, is there a way to hide badges? No, you cannot. So, yeah, and if you have a red and white badge, that means you've done 1,000 underdog drafts. And if you have a black and white badge, that means you've done 500 underdog drafts. But real quick, guys, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. I mean, hell, we've live streamed pretty much every single day for 3 months in a row now. Go down there, drop a like for us, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and if you want to get into one of these drafts with us today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. You can find that link in the live chat in the description in the comment section. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com as well. And in that other draft, we just took Jimmy Garoppolo in round 18. Let's go. DNB says, congrats to the IRS for winning best ball. Yes, congrats to the IRS. No matter what, they are winning millions. No matter what. Okay. Now, Garrett Wilson goes 12, CeeDee Lamb 11, A.J. Brown 10. Nothing too crazy in this draft, right? Very rarely you're going to see Bijan Robinson go at pick 6. But can't blame anybody for taking Bijan, considering the guy's a dude, all right? The guy's a dude. Okay. Let's see. Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board at 15. Jalen Waddle goes 16. Okay. The other night in a draft, we started off Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, Patrick Mahomes. Maybe we can make it work here. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Okay. I don't think Saquon was running back 1 as a rookie. I think if you're looking at a points per game perspective, Saquon Barkley was the running back 2 in 2018. I could be mistaken. I think Saquon Barkley in 2018 was the running back 2 from a points per game perspective. Joshua says, Mason, you ever thought about going Bijan with the 101 just to be unique? And of course, he's your boy. I mean, it would be a very unique build, but at the same time, you only get so many 101 picks. Like, of course, over the past 2 weeks, I've gotten an absurd amount, but it's definitely possible that starting next week, I have no picks at pick 1 for like a 3-week stretch, right? And if that were to happen and we have like no Justin Jefferson because we were taking Bijan Robinson instead, Derrick Henry goes, what the hell am I supposed to do? Oh, my God. I literally have no idea. I think we may copy what we saw someone do in the last draft. Just to try to be unique, let's go Mahomes, Jefferson, Andrews, and go with a 2 QB, 2 tight end build. Like, you make a strong argument. Come on, Mason. You want Ramondre over Andrews. Come on. And yeah, I would agree. That's probably true. But at the same time, there are going to be so many teams that have Jefferson, Mahomes, and Ramondre Stevenson. Whereas I don't know how many teams are going to have Jefferson, Mahomes, and Mark Andrews. We haven't done this yet. Obviously, we're going to be practicing for the higher stakes drafts once we get closer to the season. So yeah, let's try something unique. I mean, hell, maybe we find out that we love this strategy, and next time we're in the $1,000 draft and we are in this same exact situation, we can go ahead and do the same. Adam says, it was an honor drafting with you, Mason. Appreciate you coming out, my man. Appreciate you. Jeremy says, you're copping Flock's kryptonite. Oh. Yeah, got to learn from him. Got to learn from him. Okay. Henry said 2018 had some real studs. 8 running backs at 20 points per game in full PPR. Was I wrong about Barkley being the running back 2 in fantasy in 2018? Henry, where was Barkley in 2018? I thought he was the running back 2, but let me know if I'm wrong. Amit says, what are the chances of 2 teams having the exact same team? It's very similar to if you're looking at like March Madness, right? There's so many different variables through the course of these entire drafts. I couldn't give you the exact probability, but I would assume slim to none. And what's funny is even if there were 2 teams that were the same, based on the dynamic of the overall fantasy football playoff tournament being separated into brackets, it doesn't even guarantee that those 2 same teams would make it to the final round and split. So, yeah. Having the same exact team as someone else on Underdog is something that I'm not worried about. But when we're talking about getting unique, what we're looking at is, say we go Mahomes and Ramondre Stevenson. And Mahomes and Ramondre Stevenson both end up being the quarterback 1 and running back 1 overall this next year. Well, if everybody has that combination, then you're not going to be able to crush the field, right? Like that exact 2-man combination will be very prevalent and at a very high ownership in the fantasy football playoffs. Whereas if Mahomes and Mark Andrews end up being the quarterback 1 and tight end 1 overall this next year, if not too many guys are drafting this same combo going into the season, they can go out there and they can crush to an extreme measure, and the ownership numbers aren't going to be ridiculous for that same combo. So I hope we're explaining that. Well. Nick says, have 15% Tyreek as my 4th most drafted player. Taking him ahead of Cup, CMC earlier. Need to take Cup as well. Honestly, I probably should be looking at that too, my friend. Let me go ahead and pull this up. How much Cup do I have compared to Tyreek? I think I have way more Tyreek. I have Tyreek in 14%. I have Cup in 9%. Not that big of a gap. Okay, so Christian Watson off the board. Let's swing this back around. Okay. Fields goes 43. Good for us to see Fields go early here. Because obviously when we go Mahomes, we really can't take Justin Fields. This is the second draft we've seen Justin Fields go round 11. Very rarely are you seeing Fields go at that price. Drake London off the board. DJ Moore goes as well. Nick takes our guy from us. He takes Travis Etienne. I would have been so damn excited to get Etienne here at pick 48. Mixon goes, I think we're going to go McLaurin. I can't take Hawkinson here. We have Andrews. We're going to go McLaurin and Kenneth Walker. I think after Terry McLaurin, you do see a pretty big teardrop to Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk. In general, I would rather have Kenneth Walker over these backs, especially if we grab a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson early on as well. I think we're going to try copying Flock Kryptonite and what they did with the last draft in terms of waiting a very long time to grab a second quarterback and waiting a very long time to grab a second tight end. Okay. Miller Cube says London for Akers and ETN in fantasy. I'd be giving up London. Oh, definitely give me Akers and ETN, my friend. If it's a redraft format, give me Akers and ETN. Not even close. Dustin says, is this the $1,000 draft? No, this is not the $1,000 draft, my friend. We are currently sitting the $1,000 draft lobby on Underdog, and we are waiting for that to fill. This is the $25 Best Ball Mania draft. We are waiting for the $1,000 draft. Okay. Okay, Ayuk goes 52, Joe Burrow 53. I want to follow that Burrow team because it's always an interesting question on if the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins teams take the elite level quarterback at the 2-3 turn and then they decide to pass on Burrow later on. When should you take Burrow unstacked? Obviously, you can go to Irv Smith Jr., you can go Tyler Boyd later on, but like, should you be taking Burrow over Hawkinson? I don't know the right answer to that question, to be honest with you, but I don't know. Okay. Herbert goes 57. BP says, I have 30% of Hawkinson, so I go Joe Burrow. Yeah, I'm going to be excited to fly your team. Obviously, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, my friend. I don't know the right answer on if you should be taking Burrow there. I do naturally feel a little bit more comfortable going Justin Fields in round 5 if I don't have Chase, if I don't have Higgins. It's like Fields, you can see that massive spike week based off his rushing upside, right? I don't necessarily know if that's something that we're looking at with Burrow. Okay. Wilby says, did you mention how Comedy Mothership shows were, and did you have a blast? Yeah, so I've been to 3 shows at the Comedy Mothership. And every single time it's been phenomenal. If you have the chance to go, you need to go, my friend. I mean, last time I was there, I saw Dave Chappelle. The time before, I saw Rogan. I've seen a bunch of other big guys like Shane Gillis, Tony Hinchcliffe, Mark Norman. Like going, like if you get a good show at the Comedy Mothership, it's like better than anything else you could ever see. But Justin says, I got Evans in 88% of my drafts. That is wild, my man. Love the bold call. Love it. Love it. Ibrahim says, I'm going to the Comedy Mothership this Saturday. Have fun, my man. Have fun. Alex says, did you ever go to Kill Tony? I love Kill Tony, but getting tickets is damn near impossible. So sadly, I have not gone to Kill Tony. I know they dropped tickets for later in the year, and I could have gotten them, but the issue is starting in like late August, early September when the football season gets here. I literally just work 80 hours a week, so I can't do anything. But let's see. Evans goes 66. But if you have tickets to Kill Tony and you need a +1, You know where to find me. You know where to find me. Preferably before the football season. During the football season, I won't be able to go. But if you have a Kill Tony ticket over the next 2 to 3 weeks, your boy would be happy to come along. Now, Evans Dotson off the board. Okay, let's move this over. BP on the clock. They go Kyle Pitts there at 68. I honestly would have gone Kyle Pitts if he would have made it to us at 72. I know it would have been a mistake. I get it. Blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have done it. Addison goes 69. I don't want to say too much till we're actually up to pick. Nick takes Dameon Pierce from us. I hate drafting next to Nick. SWO on the clock. Justin asking our exposure to Mike Williams. Mike Evans. I apologize. Montgomery goes. Oh my God. I'm not taking Tony. I'm not doing it. I refuse. I'm taking a stand. Tony, obviously, highest ranked player according to ADP. Give us the stack with Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. Not doing it. We're going to take Akers. We're going to let this auto. Kind of want to reach on Pickens. Here's what I'm going to do. Y'all already know I drafted the hell out of Dallas Goedert. But we're going to use this as a tiebreak. I'm not drafting Tony ever. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I will draft Gabe Davis, but let's grab Gabe Davis in this range when we have Josh Allen. Y'all know I'm drafting the hell out of Dallas Goedert, but let's get Dallas Goedert here when I have Jalen Hurts. If I have neither of those quarterbacks, then we'll go ahead and we'll take George Pickens. I'm sorry, I can't take Lawrence. I can't do it. And Mark Word says Kadarius Toney went pick 97 in my previous draft. Yeah, I'm not taking Toney at 72. Tommy knows says, who's your favorite golden ticket or regular? I'd say William Montgomery's the best, right? I'd say he's the best. It's kind of funny is a lot of the people that I've seen like go up, I'll like get their name called on Will Toney. Like I'll see just randomly in Austin. Like I'll see him at the gym or something. Like not super big people. The biggest person I ever saw at the gym was like Bijan Robinson, but Nathan coming out says, just did a Best Ball Mania at pick 10 where I started Kelsey, Chubb, Andrews, Lamar, and Herbert. Very dicey build, but we were able to get Quentin, Deontay, Quentin, and Elijah Moore at wide receiver. I'd say yes, very dicey build. In general, I don't love the bully tight end strategy of going Kelsey, Andrews. I think going rounds 1 and 3 at tight end is going to be a little bit of overkill. I would be very happy to go ahead and take like Kelsey Goddard if you wanted to go bully tight end, right? Go Kelsey round 7 tight end instead of Kelsey round 3 tight end. Say instead of obviously if you could go back in a time machine, you would just take someone else other than Kelsey, right? But getting Andrews Lamar on the turn is just a cheat code. Very interesting team. I don't think it can work out. It's a very fun team though. Very, very fun team. I'll say that. Love this comment. Oh, love that. Okay, let's move this over. Brandon Cooks off the board at 81. Tommy No says, I knew you were going to take Pickens. That's why I hate drafting. I don't know if I would have taken Pickens if I didn't hear you in the live chat earlier saying you had like 60% Pickens or something crazy. Swift going off the board at 83. Nick says, not going to lie, really liking my start thus far. Yeah, Nick so far is Kupp, Higgins, Kirk, wide receiver. Oh, my man. I figured you would have gone Lawrence round 7. You had Kirk, ETN paired up. Obviously, Evan Hurts. I guess you get him paired up with Goddard, right? But, yeah, super interesting team. I really do like that as well. I just have an affinity for trying to grab Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert in as many drafts as I can. So I'm liking. Teresa, always happy to see you out here. Always happy. Okay. Yeah, I mixed in some weekly winners tournaments. I'm not doing nearly as many weekly winners as I am with traditional underdog tournament style contests. I've proven to myself before that I can have a ton of success in the regular underdog drafts. I haven't proven to myself that I can have success in weekly winners contest. I'm going to mix some in this year. I'm not going to go overboard. Very similar to like how I treat super flex drafts on underdog. I'll mix them in. I'll have some fun with them. I don't necessarily think that I'm that good at them, but I'll have some fun. I'm just not going to go crazy with it. Okay. Now we have Alvin Kamara off the board, pick 89. Rashad White goes 90. I would have been excited about having Rashad White. Nick says, really hard for me to take another quarterback that early, having Hurts, despite having Etienne and Kirk with Goddard on the board. If Goddard wasn't there, I think you can make a strong argument for Lawrence round 7. Because the thing is, like, if you go Lawrence round 7 and say Jalen Hurts misses 8 weeks during the season, and then nobody has Jalen Hurts in weeks of 15, 16, 17 in the fantasy football playoff tournament, and you can sneak him in, and he ends up being the QB1 overall there, like, you can walk yourself into a very unique combo. But, I mean, I definitely get it. So, where is the Tyreek Hill team? Oh, the Tyreek Hill team passes on Tua. Yeah, BP passes on Tua here. Going to be interested to see if they get Tua on the way back around 9. James Cook goes 93. I don't want to say anything until we're actually on the clock. Mantis says, how is weekly winner strategy different than Best Ball Mania? It is just a completely different beast. Like, I have a video talking about weekly winner strategy with Bush Sports on flockfantasy.com. I don't know how confident we are in saying that that's the right strategy. Like, in a weekly winners draft, you have to take everything that you know about one of these regular drafts and just throw it out the window. Okay, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't go Tua. Why the hell would I take Michael Thomas? I have Andrews. We'll take Sky Moore even if he's way more expensive than he ever was. I mean, everybody else is off. I hate drafting with y'all. And Teresa, Saints fan, coming out. For Teresa, we'll take Michael Thomas. My honest plan was going like A.J. Dillon, Zach Charbonnet at the turn. That's a brutal spot. That is a brutal spot. When we pass on Tony, we kind of need to be taking a Chiefs wide receiver, and if we were reaching on him with the Mahomes build. Yeah, this team's not great, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it is what it is, right? But this team's not great. Teresa says Thomas is going to win us, but Teresa is in Louisiana, so she can't draft on underdog. So we'll take Michael Thomas for her. Take Michael Thomas for her. Okay, Gibson off the board, pick 99. Now, I have bad news, ladies and gentlemen. I do not think we're going to be able to do the $1,000 draft today. Looking at this, there are 7 spots open in that lobby. So I'm going to leave the $1,000 draft room, and we will try to get the $1,000 draft going tomorrow night. So everybody, just in case you're still sitting in that $1,000 draft room wanting to go against us, I would say leave. Because I don't want that to fill on you as you sleep or something. But we'll try to get it going tonight. We will. Okay. I'm sorry, tomorrow night. I'm stupid. Now, Evan Ingram off the board at 103. David Njoku goes as well. I do like the tight ends in this range. Here's what we should have done. I don't know. I mean, it all started at the 2-3 turn. Like, should we have taken DK Metcalf there or something? We go like DK Metcalf, pick 25 instead. That way we can go like Dallas Goedert, 73. And then Evan Ingram, 97. Like, would I rather have Evan Ingram, Dallas Goedert, and DK Metcalf? Or Mark Andrews, George Pickens, and Michael Thomas? I don't know. I probably rather have the Goddard and Evan Ingram combo. So I haven't taken a ton of Andrews. Trying out a different strategy, and I don't love how it turned out. Let me see how much Andrews I have. I literally have no idea how much Andrews I have. I have 5% Mark Andrews. I kind of am beginning to understand why. Starting to understand why. Okay, let's move this over. Samaje Perine, Devon A-Chain off the board. Adam says, when you go elite quarterback / tight end, your team looks weak. Hell, I mean, I'll go Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert a lot. I guess Goddard's not an elite tight end by some people's measures, but we'll go a lot of Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. And in those drafts, I'm completely fine with it. Amid says, if Thomas is healthy, I know it's a big if. I think he's the wide receiver 1 over Chris Olave. Oh, there's no way. Chris Olave is just so damn good, my man. Even if Michael Thomas is 100% healthy, I think Chris Olave is just going to dominate. Okay. Collins goes 115. Let's wait for everybody here right before us to snipe us on our guys. We'll see. You got Damian Harris going off the board, 116. Okay, Lazard off the board as well. Okay. Greg Dulcich goes, I think here it's going to be a little bit of an easier spot. We'll take Odell. He falls about 9 picks past ADP. So we'll get a little bit of a unique build. And finally, someone that I actually like at cost. We're going to get Khalil Herbert here at 121. Definitely drafting as much Herbert as I can at this price. Tommy No says, I don't understand the appeal to the 1 or 2 spot. Having struggled mightily on those, just feels much harder to me. I think it depends on the people that you're drafting with, because sometimes at pick 1 or pick 2, I'll have some values falling to us that I'm so damn excited about that even if you find yourself in a harder spot later on in the draft, if you get those values, I mean, it just makes a super team if you can start off Jefferson or Chase. I'll agree. I think in the middle rounds, picking here at pick 1 or 2 is significantly more difficult than picking in the middle or the end of round 1. But if you can make it work, I think it has a higher ceiling. This draft in particular, I don't know if we made it work. I don't know if we could have made it work given what was available to us. But it is what it is. But we have Romeo Doubs, Jacoby Myers, Zay Jones, Darnell Mooney all off the board. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 p.m. where I'm at, so I am going to have to run to get dinner with the girlfriend real quick. I am very sorry that we were not able to get the $1,000 draft going. I'm very sorry that did not fill. Tomorrow, we are going to try again. We're going to run back the $1,000 draft end of day tomorrow. I'll schedule the live stream for 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. I will see y'all there. And of course, if you want to get into a draft with us on Underdog, you can sign up in the comment section, the description, the live chat. Promo code FLOCK gets you a 100% deposit match. Also get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Available in pretty much every state. You can see them all here. Sorry again about not being able to get that $1,000 draft started. Very disappointed, but hopefully tomorrow we can make it work. Thank you. And really do appreciate you. And really hope we get to see you with the live stream tomorrow night.